Hi, I'm Katrijn. I am the copyright assistant at Universal Music Publishing South Africa. I studied a Bachelor of Arts at Rhodes University, where I specialized in journalism and music, and then I did my honors in musicology, where I specialized in sound technology and opera singing. So I like creating my own music in my spare time, and I still sing, and it's giving me a really unique perspective at what our composers go through on a day-to-day basis when they're creating music. So it's been really insightful. I didn't have music at school, but I really loved it. I was so interested, and I really wanted to see what it was all about because there wasn't a lot of information. So I decided to study music and journalism because I wanted to have a little bit more of a socialistic and business approach to the music industry. So what surprised me about the industry was learning how money was actually flowing, and it wasn't just about live performances. I mean, I didn't know anything about music publishing until my third or fourth year of studies, and even when we were being taught about that, it was really vague. And yeah, so when I stepped into the music industry, I started hearing about people and their songs being played on radio, and I started reading up on it, about the laws, and it was really interesting to me to read about copyright laws and publishing and the flow of royalties. And then when I started working at Universal Music, it really just opened my eyes to how the industry really works. What I do on a day-to-day basis is that I make sure that our composers' songs get recognized globally. So the media industry needs to know who wrote the song, how much of the song is owned by who, and then also I make sure that the royalties get paid to our composers, because if your song gets played on a platform, you're entitled to a little bit of money because that song is your copyright, that is your intellectual property. So a question that I get asked a lot is, how do I register my copyrights in South Africa? South Africa works differently to other countries. You do not have to register your copyright, but the moment that your song is materialized on a piece of paper or it is recorded, that copyright belongs to you automatically. So when you're creating a song, you might think there's only one composer on a song because you're used to creating a song on your own. But often there are a lot of composers on a song. There's people who write the beat, there's people who write the lyrics, there are people who just help with the melodic flow of things, and all of those parts need to be split into 100% because every single composer owns a part of that 100%. And often that percentage of what you own in a song is put on a piece of paper, and it's called a split sheet. I would recommend having a split sheet because a paper trail is important when creating a song. So now you have created a song, you've got your split sheet ready, and you've managed to get it onto a platform where it's played to the world. But how do you track that song, and how do you make sure that you get the right amount of money for that song? Because every time that it is performed or copied, you get income for it. We in South Africa use collecting societies. It is my job as a publisher to help our composers get their songs registered at the right societies. SAMRO and Capasso are collecting societies, and they have relationships with broadcasters and streaming platforms. Their song gets played on a streaming platform or at a broadcaster, lists get sent to these societies, and then income is distributed to the right composer. But there's so much information that it's really difficult to keep track of it all the time. And luckily with emerging technologies, we are able to keep track of songs a lot more accurately. And the society can then pay the publishers and composers for their works being played. So I mentioned royalties earlier, and you might be wondering, how does royalties and copyright work together? So you created a song, and now somebody wants to use that song on an advertisement, in a film, on the radio, or on a streaming platform. In order for these people to use your song, they need to pay for the license. As a publisher, we help the composer get the money for that license. The tips and advice that I have for people wanting to create music or want to step into the music business world, I would recommend just doing as much research as you can via asking people who have songs on the radio, on streaming platforms, who are performing live, and ask them about the admin. Ask them with keywords such as copyrights and music law and royalties. You can also do online research with those keywords. You can go to music societies' websites. It's very informative. So stay tuned, we have a special guest sharing some inspirational news with you.
I'm Saki and I'm a songwriter. As elusive a career as this is to prepare for, I thought maybe I'd just give you a few things you can think about if you're interested. So, language, obviously, because that's how people communicate. Observing its trends, understanding its history, knowing how people express themselves and what that means for time and place. Definitely important. Secondly, I'd say empathy is probably a good quality to have, because some of the best songs are written by people that have never been through that thing. So if you have an empathetic way of moving through life and through relationships, you'll probably have a lot of content to write about. And lastly, I'd say just observe and be interested in your surroundings and things.